Hi everyone. Today we are diving into one of the most powerful and versatile data structure in Python. That is what you can see list, right? So this is something that we are going to discuss in today's video. And here are the topics that you can see we are going to discuss today. First of all, we'll see what is the basic of list, or why should we know the list, right? So we'll be talking about the introduction to list. After that, how to define a list and how to access the elements from a list. And after that, we'll be seeing that how to iterate through a list, right? If we want to access the all the components of the list, all the elements of the list, so how or what all are the ways to loop through a list. So that is something we are going to discuss in this particular topic. And after that, you can see there is a some built-in functions that, right, which is going to make our job super easy. So those built-in functions, what are those functions we can utilize for our list that we are going to show. And another last topic that you can see the list methods, right? So there are different useful methods we have there predefined by Python. So those useful methods libraries we are going to discuss in today's video, right? Okay, now let's talk about what is the need of list in Python, right? What is the need? Why we do need, or why we need to understand about the list in Python, right? What is the need of it? So why, or you can see why we need a list, right? Why we need list, right? So to understand these things, so far you know that for a variables I have a data to store something. I want to display some data, or I want to manipulate some data. For that I have variables. Let's say I can say my variable a. I'm going to store some data into a particular variable, right? For that I can take a variable. Let's say a is equal to 10. I can take b is equal to 20. I can take c is equal to 30. That means I can, if I have a data and that data I want to store to a particular variable, I can I can different variables with their different names, let's say a b c, and I can store the data into the variables, right? So this is something we can do. But let's think about, let's say I am dealing with a, let's say, company. I'm dealing with a particular college, right? I'm dealing with a company, or I'm dealing with a company data, right? So if a company, I am thinking about, the company has, let's say, 1000 of employees, right? Company is have 1000 of employees. Now if I want to store, I want to display all the employees name into a particular let's say display, then how we can achieve that things, right? That is something a problem. So if I want to go with this approach, so how can we store this data? We can see name1 is equal to, let's say, Rahul, right? Then similarly I can see name2 is equal to, let's say, Rohan, right? So similarly we can have n number of users can be stored into different n number of variables, isn't it? So we can say n is equal to, let's say, Jahid, right? So this way I can store, this is one of the way I can store thousands of employee into thousands number of variables. But is that really possible? That is going to be very hectic, right? So that's why the list, the concept of list is come into the picture, right? So what does list say? List say that you can store, if you have a multiple set of data, collection of data, or you have a sequence of data, that data you can store into a particular container, right? What does list provide us? List provide us a container where you can store multiple collection of data. So each of your you can say cell, these all are cell. This is my cell number 0, cell number 1, 2, 3, 4, like this way. So all these list, all these cells are containing one data separately. Let's say in the first cell I am storing Rahul, right? So similarly I can store in the second cell, I can store Rohan, right? So in this approach I can store n number of data. The good benefit it, I can just refer this particular set of data with a particular variable. Let's say I am assigning this particular variable set of data in a list called names, right? So this is something, names is a variable. It is going to refer this particular list of data, right? So set of data, you can say list of data, or you can say collection of data better, right? So this collection of data I'm going to store with a particular variable type, that is a list, right? This is going to be called as list. Now we can store this like this way. I can store 10, 20, 30, right? This way, so on. I can store multiple data, and I can give a name to this particular set, or you can say particular collection of data, particular variables. Let's say numbers. I'm saying this is a numbers. So I'm storing multiple data into a particular variable. So if I store multiple data in this approach, that this is nothing but a list in Python. There are different approaches we have in Python. So what all are the approaches to handle the collection of data? Collection of data, right? So list is one of the approach to handle the collection of data. There are mainly four type of collection of we have in Python. First is one your list. Another one is have tuple. Another one is we have set, right? And the another one we having dictionary. Okay, so right now we are learning list. Okay, so there are multiple you can say data types, sorry, multiple you can say data structures we have in Python. So one of the data structure you can say that is a list, which is handling multiple set of data, which is handling collection of data, right? So this is the need of a list. I hope this concept is clear, guys. So what is the reason of we use the list or tuple or set or dictionary to handle the collection of data into a particular container, right? So this is nothing but referring to a container which is you can say holding multiple set of data, right? Collection of data. So this is like acting as a container, and this container is holding the set of data. So how to store or how to initialize the data, or how to use or how to insert the data into a collection, let's go and see in the programming, right? Okay, now let's go to the Google Colab and we'll see some of the programming, right? So first of all, we'll see how to initialize, or how you can say how to create a list, empty list, right? First of all, we'll be trying to say create a empty list, right? So to create an empty list, we can say my list L, I'm giving the name as L, and after that, if you for list you have to use the square braces. Okay, remember every time that always something is within a square braces, that is a representing it is a list. Okay, this is the symbol of list. If I print, if I run this code now, it is running right now. Let it get connected to the server. Yeah, I'm just waiting for it. Okay, now it is uh, connected, right? So if I try to print L, or what is the output we are getting? We are getting an empty list. This is called as a empty list. If you are getting square braces with no data, nothing is there inside of the square braces, so this is called as a empty list, right? If you want to print the, you can say uh, type of the particular data. Let's say I'm printing type of list, right? If you want to check the list type of L, then you can see we are getting list, right? So this is how we create a empty list. To get to insert data into list, we can use, let's say, you can, I am having L is equal to, I can directly assign some data, let's say 12 and 23, 33, 44, and I'm assigning 45, assigning 23. So anything, whatever you want to assign, you can assign the data into a list. So this is how we have to use the square braces first of all, and inside of the square braces you can add the data that you want to insert, right? So this way, if I want to print the data, you can see I can print it and it will print all the data that is there inside of this particular list, right? So this is how we can assign data. We can create a list with the some data. This is what we have created a empty list. But if you want to create a list with some data, you can go ahead with this approach, right? Let me do one thing. Not only just similar type of data, we can have multiple, you can say different type of data types inside of a list also, right? So I mean, let's say I'm taking L1 is equals, I am taking 10, right? 20, 34, 33, then I'm taking, let's say, Python, right? Even if I can take a decimal pointer value like 23.54, I can take any boolean value also, that is also completely okay, right? So whatever the, you can see, um, it doesn't matter what is the type of data that you are using inside of a list. It can store, it can hold all the different type of data inside of a list, right? So if I run this code right now, L1, you can see it is printing there all the data that I have inside of a list, right? There is no error I am getting right now, right? Similar way, let's say I want to what is the, let's say I want to um, duplicate some data. So here you can see we have 22, 12 is there, and in this list you can see here we can have duplicate data as well, right? 23 is repeated twice, right? And also we are, when we are printing this list, what we can see over here, we can see that 23 is printed twice. So means I can have duplicate data inside of a list any time, any number of times, right? There is no restriction on it. So with this, can we conclude that list can have a duplicate data, right? So I can write it this way. I can say, um, you can see properties of list, or you can say, so what I can say, properties of list, what you can say, list can store duplicate data, right? Then what we got to know, we got to know that we can store different type of data. We have integer type of data, we have string type of data, decimal pointer, floating point data, boolean point data, right? So we can, there is no restriction of what is the type of data that you are going to insert into a list. So what we can say, we can store, list allows different type, different data types, right? So inside of a list we can store different type of data. So this is another thing we got it, right? So let's say I, what I want to do right now, I want to have multiple data in a list. So what I can do, so if I say, let's say I'm taking list 2, and I'm saying list 2 is equals 23, and I want to have this 23 for 10 number of times. So there is a very easy way, you can say do 10 multiply by 10, and if you print L2, now you see it is repeating all the data the number of times that you have mentioned, right? So this is one of the very good, you can see, feature of Python that we have in list, right? So if you want to create a data with a multiple you can say number of times, n number of times inside a particular list, we can create that list by this approach. Clear? So from this, what we can see, we can use use asterisk to repeat, or you can say use asterisk to repeat an element for n number of times, right? Not only for numbers, we can check it for any string type of data also. What I mean, let's say I am taking another cell. I'm sorry. Oh, my bad. So I'm taking another cell. Here I'm going to store, let's say I'm taking list 3, and I'm saying, let's say I want to have print some message, something, right? Let's say I'm saying hello, right? And after that, I want to repeat this for 10 number of times, right? Let me give a small space over here. And if I want to print uh, L3, let's say, you can see here, we have the data hello repeated for 10 number of times, right? So this is how we can store data into a list. By remove this, you can see this is how we can store the data inside of a list for any number of times, right? Okay. Okay, now let's talk about how we can access the data from the list, right? So let me go to the notebook once again. So what we are going to discuss right now, accessing data from a list, right? So we are trying to, now we got to know how to store data into a list. Let's say I'm saying L1, I'm saying my list is equal to, I'm storing some data, let's say 10, 23, 35, 19, 0. I'm storing negative data also, let's say 11. So these are the data that I have stored. Right now you can see I have how many number of data is there, 1 2 3 4 5 6. There are 6 elements are there into this particular list, right? Now to always remember that all the data have their indexes in a list. Whatever the order we are inserting the data into a list, that on insertion order is also maintained in a list, right? What do I mean? I mean that if the list is number 10, this element is at position number first position, right? So this is always going to be at first position in this particular list until unless we changing the order of the elements. So if the element 23 is at second position, it will be always at second position. So this is my first position, this is my second position, third position, right? This is a fourth position, right? So these are my position. What are these things? These are my position. Now we have a index concept in Python, index concept, or any other programming languages. All the programming languages have their index concept also. Now what is this index concept are there, or how it is works, right? So remember, if one thing, the index in Python or any other languages always start from 0. What that does mean, if I am talking about the first element, that index of this particular field is always 0. So definitely the index of second position, that is going to be 1, this is going to be 2, and so on. So if I want to see what is the index of the last position, let's say this is a nth element, right? If this is a nth element, definitely the index of the nth element is going to be n minus 1, isn't it? Because if I am talking about the first position, the index is going to be 0. If I talking about second position, index is going to be 1. If I talk about third position, index is 2. So with this same way, we say the nth position index is going to be n minus 1. So this is how index works for a any of the, you can say, any of the sequence character, sequence sorry, any this list of data, right? data inside of a list, if you want to access the data, let's say uh, for this particular position, first position, the index is going to be 0, second position index is going to be 1, third position index is going to be 2. To get a to fetch a data from this particular list, this is a list I have. To fetch the data from this list, I can access the data by using their index. It's just like a, you can say, ID of this particular cell, particular element, right? To get that element, it is, you can think of like in a book. Let's say I'm talking about a book, right? In book we have a index, right? Indices. So their indices we have, let's say first point is introduction to particular subject, and we have the page number, right? Then again the second position, that is an index, right? Here I have we have the topic and we have the page number, right? Here third position, that is an index, here is the topic, we have the page number. Similar way you can consider this similar to that. This is going to be identity of this particular data. This is going to be identity of this particular data. So if I want to fetch 10 from this particular list, this is a containing multiple data. To get the particular data, we can pass the index. So if we say L of 0, so it is going to return me what it is. It will return, it will return me 10. Clear? So similarly, if I say L of 2, so it is going to return me the index. This is the index 2, so it is going to return me 35, right? It is going to return me 35. So similar way, if I say index of n minus 1, n is going to be my you can see last index, the total length, n is going to be how many numbers of data you have inside of a list. So if I say L of n minus 1, that means it is going to return me the last data inside from this list. And what is the last data? That is 11, right? So this is how we can access the data from the list. I hope this concept is clear to you guys. Now let's see in the program, right? So we are going to here, let's say I have a data, and I'll be taking the same example. Let's say sorry, let's me take a L is equal to, I'm taking 1 2 3, right? So similar way I can take multiple data, 5, let's say taking 40, 56, some random data, 65, 77, 34, right? So this way I can take multiple data inside of a list. Now if I try to fetch a particular data from this list, right? So we can make it, you can see accessing data from a list, right? So this is something we are going to do right now. So we can fetch the data with their index, right? So if I print L of, let's say I'm printing 0, then what is the output should be, right? It should return me the first element, it should return me 1. You can see we are getting 1. So if you want to print, let's say I'm saying L of, I'm saying 4, so it will going to return me the fifth element. So 1 2 3 4, so it should return me 5, right? So if I run this code, you can see we are getting the 5 input, right? 5 output. So this is how we can access the data from list. We have to pass the index of the particular element what we want to get, so accordingly we can fetch the data, right? Okay. Now here important things, let's see, instead of just fetching one data at a time, I want to fetch some data, let's say from here to here. That means I am interested on slicing of this particular list or set of data, right? So or I want to slice this particular that is nothing but you can say sub list, right? List sub list subset of data, right? So how we can do this? We can take the slicing, you can see here. So how can you do this? We can do it like this. So you can say, if you say list of we can say 2 to 5, so that means it will return me data starting from index 2 till 5 minus 1, that means 4, means 2, uh, starting index 2 is 3, this is the first two, this is index 2, 3 and 4. So we, as a result, output we are going to get 3 to 5. If I run this code now, you can see we are getting 3, 4 and 5. So we can write it this way. We can write it this way. Uh, it returns data starting from index 2 till 4 minus 1. Sorry, 5 minus 1. I hope it is clear, you guys, right? The you can say syntax, we can write it here. We can see syntax for slicing, right? So what I can say is syntax for slicing. So what is the syntax now? You have a list. You have a list, and here you have to pass start index colon end index, right? So this is a syntax that you have to pass. Now, okay. So now what we can do, let's see some of the more example of it. So let's say I want to print L and I want to pass, let's see, I am passing, uh, right, I'm writing this way, writing colon, and right side of data I'm passing 3, so left side I'm not passing anything. So what it will do, it will start, if I'm not passing any data to the left side, it will do from the 0, okay, 0 to position n 3 minus 1, right? So if I run this right now, let's see, let me take it inside of a print, else it will not print the data. So I'm taking this way. Also let me take this inside of a print statement. Okay, now if I print this one, you can see it is printing from 1 to 1, 0, 1 and 2, right? It is printing from 0, 1 and 2, these three data, right? If I increase this to 5, so it will print till index number 4, 0, 1, 2, 3 and 4. I hope this is clear to you guys. So you can see um, it will print from index 0 to n index minus 1, right? So this way. So similarly we can have another one, we can have right side one as empty. So if I say, let's say 3 colon and then right side one I want leaving as a blank, then it will print from index starting from 3 till the end of the particular list. So if you want to see here, you can see it is printed starting from index 3, this is a index 3, after that it is printing till the complete end of this particular list, here to here, right? So this is understandable. If I do not do anything, let's say I am saying print L and I do not pass anything but the colon only, then it will start from 0 to the end of this particular list. You can see it is printing the complete list. Clear? Let me do one more thing. Let's say I want to print, I want to print let's say I'm saying 3 comma minus 2, then what happened? Can you guys, sorry, I have to take list of, let's say I'm saying 3 comma minus 2, then what happened? See, we're getting the result, right? And what is the result we're getting? Can you guys understand? So we are getting till here. So that means if we do not want to get the last two digit, we can say last two elements, or you can say last two data from this list, we can pass minus 2, right? If you pass minus 1, then the last one will get omitted, right? The last one is getting omitted, right? Okay, okay. Now let's talk about the how to loop, or how to iterate through a list, right? Let me go to the you can see a whiteboard once again. So right now we will be talking about the how to iterate, or how to, what all are the ways to iterate through a list, right? We can see looping in, right, looping in lists. So to loop inside of a list, that means we, let's say I have a loop list of data, and to get to fetch the data from a list one by one, where I want to fetch all the data one by one, or I want to perform some operation for each and every data inside of a list, right? So what we can do, we can we can use a loop to get all the data one by one, and after that you can do some operation with the data, right? For those we can use the loop operation. And there are three type of loop we can apply for a particular list. Those are, we can use the while loop, we can use for loop, and another one is we can use enumerate, right? These are the enumerate is a function that we can utilize for looping in inside of a list. You may have uh, you may have question like why, when and what, when to use, which loop we can use, right? Or which one to use, or which one is best suitable for us, right? So while loop, this is works on a condition, right? We do provide some condition, we do check first the condition, and then after that we do it, right? For loop in Python, it is just work with the elements. You do not keep track of your indexes, right? So if you want to keep track of your indexes, that in that case we can use the enumerate function, which is allows us to keep tracking of your indexes as well as the elements. Okay. In case of for loop, we work with directly with the elements. Okay. And while loop, we directly work with the index base for looping concept, right? I'll show you the syntax and how to loop through this particular list by using while, by using for, and by using enumerate function. So let's see. Let me come here quickly. So I'll be using the same list. Let's say I'm taking, let's say I'm quickly you writing one thing. Let's say um Python. So here I can see uh, while loop, and we have for loop, and another loop we have, that is a, can say, enumerate enumerate function, right? So these are the loops that we have in Python. By using these loops, we can do a loop operation. We can see iteration operation inside of a list. Let's say I'm taking an example. Let's say names is equal to, or let's say, let me take cities is equal to, I'm taking list of cities. Let's say I'm taking Delhi, then I'm taking Pune, I'm taking, let's say, Mumbai, I'm taking Chennai, right? I'm taking Kolkata, right? So these are the list of cities that I have in the list, right? So this is now a list of data. If you want to print the cities, you can directly print DIS. So if I print, it is printing the data. Now what I want to do, I want to print the, I want to get through the data list of data individually, one by one, right? So let me use a for loop here, right? Using for loop, sorry, using, first of all will be use the while loop, right? So to use the while loop, what I can do, we can use the index concept. So let me take an index. So let's say I is equal to 0, and after that we'll be using while loop, and inside of the while loop, if I loop is saying, then let's say I is less than length of the particular list. What is the list? My list is cities. If you guys are not aware of this particular length functionality, I'll tell you it in, let me tell you, and see there is a space here, there is the making. Okay, so what it does, length function is saying length is going to return means if I say length of cities, how many number of data you have inside of a list, right? If you run this right now, you can see it is returning 5 because I do have 5 elements, 5 set of data, 5 collection of data inside this particular list. So that is why the data length is printing me 5, right? To so that I want to, let's say, how many number of times I want to iterate through a particular list. So that is something we are going to decide with the dynamically by with this particular length function, right? So this is helping us dynamically decide what is the length of this particular list. Tomorrow, instead of, let's say, here I am adding one more city, right? I'm adding one more city, let's say Bangalore, right? So if I hardcode the length of the cities over here, then this is not able to print all the data, because if you do hardcode, then you have to change your code over here also, right? So that's why we have used the length function, which is dynamically decide what is the length of your program, of your what is the length of your list, right? So now if I print, let's say, to how to get the data printed, we know we can print the data with their indexes. We have already understand that things, right? At the above lines. So now we can say print, and we can use you can say item at, we can say, let me print with their index. Let me just directly print right now. I can say cities, and I can print with the indexes. So whatever the I value will be there, it will print by that index. If I run this code now, you can see, oh, sorry, it's my bad, it's my bad. Here, remember one thing, guys, this is with it's good that we got this particular issue here. See here, how many number of times daily got printed. Do you know what is the reason? The reason is this code got into an infinite loop, because the value of I is never going to change, right? We did not increase the value of I, because initially the value of I is 0, and we printed the city of index 0, it got printed Delhi, right? Oh sorry, I have written it like a Delphi, sorry, it should be Delhi. So index I value is never got changed. That's why it was the always it is printing value of I as 0, right? So what we can do, we can just increase the counter over here. So you can see I plus is equal to 1, right? So if we do so, now we are incrementing the value of 1. Once we increase, then till the length of the city, it will get end of this loop, right? So you can see it is printing the data that we have inside of this list, right? It is printed all the data. Sorry, this we did not execute. Now if you execute, it will print the Bangalore also. Oops, what happened? Now if I run this code, now you can see all the data from this list is got printed, right? Okay, now let's see how we can achieve the same job, means iterating through the list, and how we can print all the data by using the for loop, right? So what we can do, we can take a for loop here, you can see, and if I say item in the list, name of the list, what is the name of the list? Name of the list is cities, right? That we know. First, inside of the city is the list that we have defined all the data inside of this particular city list variable, and we can see cities, right? So if we say cities, then colon, what I can do, we can print all the data over here, right? We can say item. So all this, what it will going to happen when you run this code, it will, until unless the city data of the city is going to get end, this loop will do continuously uh, loop through each and every element of the list. Means at the first loop it will take the data Delhi. After that it will take the second data Pune, Mumbai, Chennai, and so on, right? Till the end of the loop it will iterate the loop that number of time, and it will print the data. Simply we can execute this code, and you can see we are getting the same result that we are getting by using the while loop, right? Now let's see if we want to keep track of the indexes, right? So by using the for loop, how can we do achieve that? For doing that, we have to use the enumerate function, right? So to track, we can say to track the index of items, we can use enumerate function. So how to do this? Let's do once again. We can say for, and we can say take index, and then I say item, and you can say enumerate. It is giving me the prompt, and let me take it, right? So if I do write this way, so what is going to happen? It is going to track what is the index of this particular element, right? Instead of this, we can print it like this way. Let me print it f string. I can say um yeah, we can print this way. So it will print index and what is the element at this particular index, right? So if I run this code right now, you can see it is printing the data with their indexes, right? So it is printing their data indices. What is the zero index? 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, right? So this way it will traverse through the all the elements of a for loop, oh sorry, of a list, and it is going to print me. So if you want to track the index of a list items, you can use the enumerate function. And if you do not need to track the indexes of of each and every element, then what you can do, you can directly use the simple for loop, right? This is a straightforward way to print the list of data, right? If you do not want to use for loop at all, then you have another option to use the while loop. There we will be printing the data with their by using their index, right? So initially we have to decide a index, what is the index starting from 0, and after that we can print the data from the um, 0 to till end of the particular list, right? Now here I have a question, guys. Let's see, all these cases you have must have observed that data got printed by starting from index 0 to index last, right? Now my question is, what if I want to print the data from the last index to first index, right? What I mean, in the reverse order I want to print the data. So I'll be printing first Bangalore, then Kolkata, Chennai, Mumbai, Pune, Delhi. So how can I achieve that? I will leave this assignment to you guys. If you, I hope you can achieve this very easily. But let me know. Sorry, I'll be asking you to do this in both the approaches by using the while loop and by using the for loop also. Try it. If you are not able to achieve this, let me know in the comment. Okay, so I'll be giving the solution.